Well, all right, guys, take two. Well, all right, guys, coming at you live here from the garage, sweating already, wearing pants for, oh, look at the gut, jeez. Coming at you live from the garage, still wearing the pants. I mean, wearing the pants, not still. I mean, maybe still, who knows, guys. This is off the rails. Hang on, who knows? I'm gonna show you how to replace a set of leaf springs today. Can you see that right there? This down there, that, this, that. I'm gonna show you how to replace a set of leaf springs on my favorite money pit, the 2000 Nissan Xterra. Let's get to her and go down below, all right? He's already dirty. All right, so as you might have seen on a previous video, this leaf was cracked before. Just put it down, bud. Come on. Embarrassing, bud. Take two. So basically, as you can see here, there's a piece broke there. I think I showed it in a previous video. There's the other side there. That one started to crack as well. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. So right there, you can see it's cracked. And having one side dickered is one thing, right? But having two sides dickered, guys, having a second side, having this side dickered as well, guys, not something I'm willing to put up with. So ordered a couple of new leafers and some new U-bolts. Let's get going on it. Guys, let's go. Let's go get it. Let's get going. Let's stop. Okay, just stop, bro. Okay, so what are the steps we got to do to get this off of here? So I've got it on the jacks over there too, and there's gonna be some finagling that's gonna have to happen with those. Gonna have to take off the shock bottom bolt one at a time. All four of these guys, not that guy, who cares about that guy? Bam, bam, at least I don't think that guy. Bam, 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 bam. Take all of those off, and then it's just gonna be as simple as, guys. It's gonna be that, and then that guy there. So it should be pretty easy to get them off, and should be pretty easy to get them off there, and I mean, let's hope, right? And then we're gonna have to lower down the one side to take tension off the spring first, though. Anyway, I'll get to it and I'll show you. I also forgot to tell you that I already took the tires off, which, I mean, you could have probably just told, or been told. You could have, you probably could have told, you probably could tell. I got it jacked off the pumpkin there, off the differential, and I'm just gonna lift up both sides until that one's out. And I'm just gonna remove this guy entirely for the time being. So now I'm gonna lower it down, and with the other side still jacked up like that, it's gonna cause this side to sag. In theory, take spring tension off of her. So let's see what happens. Just let her down slow. Oh boy. We're not sure if that's safe. I'm gonna say it's not. Let's not jack it off the pumpkin. Got a better idea. Jack it off the frame over here. So once you've caused yourself to have a panic, you should be sagging, right? Elbow saggins. So yeah, we gotta get these guys off. Well, that's looking dickered. We'll have to fix that too. Get these guys off, have that lowered down, and then we'll do the turnbuckles or whatever they're called. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this underneath our guy here, just because I think once we undo everything off of it, I think that it will Bilbo Saggins. And we don't want that. Or maybe we do. I don't know. He's never replaced leaf springs before. Looks like we're gonna have to cook those. So I just cooked all four of the bolts so that the slap whirler wouldn't meet its maker trying to spin off the rusties there. Figured it might be a good idea to support the spring with the floor jack also, but pretty much forgot that plan immediately. So when I go to remove the bed plate, I basically just set off the old bowspring speed release and almost caused myself a respawn. Luckily the rust held her on there long enough for me to safely fill my pants from a distance, right? Now a smart man would take note that there's two nuts that hold the shackle together there. But if you spent any time on this channel at all, you'd know that I didn't do that. I like to do things a little bit different here on Hoon Talk. I like to shake things up. I like to swim against the grain. I like to mushroom the end of threads because I think that I'm dealing with a through bolt when actually it's a welded on. But relax, just undo the nuts, pry off the metal retainer piece. Got her. After that, put a wrench on one side of the spring anchor bolt and hit her with the slap whirler till she flies off there. Drop the front spring out of the slot in the frame, and then you should be able to pull the back off the shackle there. Unless you straight mangled the end of it with a hammer, or maybe it wasn't your fault at all, right? And maybe you should just frig off, bud. Either way, you might have to hit her with the torch, or perhaps use a puller to get her off there. Or just give up. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, bud. All right, so we got her out of there. Gonna have to clean this guy up a bit because she got dickered, got bent and warped and wrecked. Had to do her, right? So we'll fix that up, cut some new threads on her, make her all nice. There's the bracket, and this is the bullshit, eh? Look at that. Snapped her. I don't think a piece actually fell out of there either. I think it's just been sliding around because it looks like it fit pretty good in there. I'm gonna put in that guy now. So at this point, I was really only left two options because of the state the threads were in. Unrelated to what I did, obviously. They just came like that from factory. It wasn't my fault at all. Either cross-thread the nut on there, call it poor man's Loctite, or clean up the threads with the dye. And you guys know me. I'm a professional. So I definitely tried both options and just pretended that I didn't. All right, guys, basically it's been a couple of days there, here or there or whatever. What happened is those U-bolts they sent me were about an inch too short. What I had to do is send those bastards back from whence they came, and I just went and picked some up in town. So there's the U-bolts, right? Longer, correct size. And then also got this guy here, right? Is that thing on? And also got this guy right here, which is called an eye bolt. It says you're supposed to replace them, so I figured if I was going there anyway, I'd just get it. So I got it. We're gonna drop the front to put this guy in because we already had the other one in, right? And we'll finish this bastard up. All right, so with your U-bolts dangling stiffy side down and your new leafer in position, you're gonna wanna grab yourself a 2x4 or something similar to press against the bed plate so you can compress the spring. Basically, you're just trying not to block the holes where your bolts are gonna go, because you gotta be able to thread the nuts on the stiffies once the spring is compressed enough. There's also this little alignment hole on the bottom side of the axle where the top of the spring bolt sits and it lines are all up. For some reason, it was an absolute bear to do on this side, and I'm not really sure why, because the other side just basically went in there like butter, right? So make sure it's all lined up proper before you tighten her down, or you're gonna be having a sadness occur. Also, make sure the threads exposed beneath the nuts on each U-bolt are pretty close to even, so you know that the bolt is lined up correctly before you give her the final couple ducka-duckas with the old click wrench. In case you're wondering what I'm doing there, I found it made things a little bit easier to undo the sway bar from the axle, so that's what you see me putting back together. Then I applied some anti-seize compound to the shock mount before threading on the washer and nut by hand. Not only does it help with taking the rig off in the future if you need to, it seems to make the bushings actually last longer just by adding a little bit of lubricity to the rig, right? After that, you're gonna wanna readjust your setup so you can access all the nuts for torquing. I chose to torque everything down with the suspension compressed so as to simulate the position it would be in at rest on the ground, but he's just busting rhymes here for some reason. Don't know if it matters in this particular case, but my thinking was if the rig is going to be in that position most of the time, I don't really want all the bushings doing the twist because I torqued everything with the suspension sagging, right? It's always a good idea for any job to thread all the related nuts and bolts on by hand before tightening any of them down, because if your rigs don't line up exactly, then you're going to have to do a tactical retreat, right? And that's just sad for everybody involved. Took so freaking long to get this in there because there's this like center little hole thing. It's in the middle, it's supposed to line it up, but it wasn't lining up because, well, probably because I'm dumb, right? But yeah, so I think the torque spec on these bolts is going to be different than what the ones maybe from factory were or whatever, just because the guy at the place that I bought them said that. So I'm going to torque them to 100 foot-pounds. But first, I should probably set this thing. So you're gonna want to go in a opposing pattern. You do one and then the other and make sure they're all evenly torqued down. And make sure that this fucking thing's in the way. All right, so one other thing I want to point out here. These guys are directional. If you notice, it looks like a little snail going that way. And then on the back, it's the reverse kind of guy, right? I just looked it up. And those U-bolts there are supposed to be 54 foot-pounds or something. But I did them to 100 because that's what the guy said. Bolts are thicker, I think. Two things I forgot to mention. One, don't reuse the U-bolts, you hack. And two, recheck the new U-bolt torque after like 300K or so, just to make sure that they didn't loosen off while the suspension was settling. I guess another option would be to use some thread locker to avoid the issue in the first place, but if you live up north like me, you know it won't take long for nature's Loctite to apply itself, right? So we got that going for us. And then got this shackle guy here. He's gonna be 77 foot-pounds. And then the guy at the front there he is. That's 84 foot-pounds. And then it's basically the same maneuver for the other side here, only it should be much smoother now that you kind of have an idea what you're doing. At least you'd think that was the case. But what you're gonna find is that a section of the gas tank support frame is actually boxing you in like a roving gang of hatchback Honda Civics at the peelers. But you gotta drop that front snail out of the frame in order to slide the rear one off the shackle. So what are you gonna do? The proper procedure is to probably just take the extra time and undo all the bolts enough so that you'd be able to clear the bastard. But you know I chose the way of the hack, which is to say I got in there with a pry bar and bent the rig until not even its own mother would recognize it. Well, all right, guys. So that appears to be it. That appears to be it for the links. They're not even links, bud. That appears to be it for the leaf springs, he says. I got everything all torqued up. I just got to put on the wheels, but dinner actually showed up, so I'm gonna go and eat that right now. And that'll be friggin' it for a little bit, all right? Sweating it. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to like, favorite, and scuba dive, and get back at you with the next one. Oh, yeah. Like, favorite, subscribe. God, it looks like a 4-year-old made this. Yes. I'm just wearing the same shirt for 2 days. Come on, bud. Oh, he's spitting everywhere. God. Man, that's just a hot mess right there, eh? We're not sure if that's safe. Whatever floats your boat, bud.